For the past 2 months, I've been releasing a series of videos about Taylor Swift's most popular albums. Some of them I really loved, some of them not so much, but all those videos, regardless of whether I like the albums or not, have led up to today. Welcome to the final installment of the Eras saga. Yeah, I'm not doing Fearless and Debut. I'm sorry if that's disappointing to you guys. I just don't feel like I'd have a lot to say on them. Country music's not really my thing, you know? I was gonna put my Red vinyl up there, but it didn't fit. It's like too thick. In case you didn't know, Red is my personal favorite Taylor Swift album, and it's really not close at all. So my goal for this video is really to just present my best case for why I think Red is so much better than all of her other albums. And by no means do you guys have to agree with me, but please share all your thoughts in the comments. I've always thought that as an album, Red is the perfect representation of Taylor Swift. I think everything that Taylor does best is done best in this album. The songwriting is killer, some of her best ever, obviously. And while I can always appreciate some good, nice, fancy production on some pop music, when extravagant arrangements aren't stealing any of the spotlight, it allows more of the focus to be on the melodies or the lyrical content, you know, like the actual foundation of all the songs. I also think that Taylor's voice flat out sounds greatest when it's in a more acoustic setting, you know, like in this setting. Not that I want to nitpick her vocal performances on any of the other albums, but on Midnight's she was pretty breathy. Folklore and Evermore weren't really enthusiastic. Lover and Reputation were just kind of basic, just basic pop music. And I just feel like the nature of Red tonally allows her to exercise the best aspects of her voice, in my opinion. I think she's always been really good at those, like, you know, belty cry tones, like when she sings those high notes and holds them, you feel it. I've been known to kind of dog on her singing chops on my channel. I don't think she's like a naturally gifted singer, but when you're singing for fucking like 15 plus years, obviously you're gonna get better, obviously you're gonna learn how to use your voice. And yeah, I just feel like this album lends itself to her voice the best, if that makes sense. Like if you listen to a song like Red, right, it's really powerful in my opinion, and you just don't get those types of songs on any of her other albums. The other albums might have their moments like that, but I just feel like it gets overshadowed by the aesthetics. And having less of a focus on the album's aesthetic or era also allows you to be engulfed in what each of the songs are saying and doing individually. And what they do individually is fucking smack, alright? Look, man, I'm not gonna say that this is a perfect album, but it's pretty damn close. Out of all 30 tracks on this album, I'd say about 30 of them fucking smack, alright? They're fucking bangers. But as a singular entity, or just an album as a whole, I think Red is about Taylor losing her innocence. You know, it may be her 4th studio album, but it's her first that feels like it's from the perspective of an adult. And it's really kind of heartbreaking because I feel like, especially in the first few songs of the album, it feels like Taylor is trying to hold on to that innocence or that sort of youthful bliss that she had in her first 3. But when you grow up, it's not up to you, you know? I wish I could stay at home all day playing video games and not feel bad about it. Now it's like I gotta go to college, I gotta get a job or some shit. Like, what the fuck? I also feel like this album is the easiest to relate to for me out of all albums, just because all the other ones kind of sort of relate to like her career and, you know, her perspective on life in a bunch of ways. Whether that's tying things back to events that have happened, you know, with like Kanye West, or like, you know, fame and fortune, all that good stuff. But this album is really just centered around growing up and centered around heartbreak, which just makes it much easier for me to relate to personally, you know, as the run-in-the-mill average Joe 6 on a good day guy that I am. I'm actually not sure why this album is called Red, but let's break it down with some basic color theory. We tend to associate colors with different emotions, right? Blue is sad, yellow is, I guess, optimism or happiness, which, like, that makes sense, kinda. But red is a weird one, right? Because I feel like there's like 2 things that I would associate it with. Love and the color of Celtics fans' faces after losing Game 7. 2 seemingly opposing emotions, but at its core, that's what this album is. Red is about the anger that love can make you feel. The inner conflict that loving the wrong person can and will cause. You could also connect the red to bleeding, or like blood. You know, imagine you've gone your entire life without even getting a paper cut, you know, without seeing any blood. That first paper cut is the first sign of like a realization that you're not invincible. You know, you're just a fucking weakling ass loser like the rest of us. So bleeding can be like the first sign of losing that childlike innocence that she had in her first 3 albums.
Welcome back to Mother Flipping Writer's Workshop. As you guys can probably guess, you know, there's one song on Red that is just loved by everyone. So today we're gonna be talking about All Too... Nah, I'm fucking joking. Are you kidding me? That's basic as shit. We're not doing All Too Well. We're talking about Red today. Loving him is like driving a new Maserati down a dead-end street. Honestly, when I first saw this line, I thought it was supposed to be, you know, it's flashy, it's nice, it's fun, but it's not going anywhere. But yeah, obviously she explains it in the next line, so it's whatever. I guess my reason, and my reason is just stupid. Jason, you fucking idiot. All right, here we go. Losing him was blue like I'd never known. Missing him was dark, great, all alone. Forgetting him was like trying to find forgetting him was like trying to know somebody you never met. I love this because it's concise, it's nice. I like the metaphors. They're not too like thinky, but they're like just enough that you're like you get it. And yeah, that you know, it's so fire, bro. It's so fire. So as I'm ending this, I'm realizing that for this particular portion of Writer's Workshop, I was kind of all over the place. That tends to just happen a lot when I'm not scripted, you know. I don't know. I'm kind of like a hyperactive guy, so I just kind of get too excited when I'm talking about a song I like, and it just becomes a mess. But I think the biggest point I have is, you know, so many songs, particularly pop songs, but I think all songs in general, rely on metaphors a lot for like the hooks, things like that. So it just kind of ends up becoming a game of what new metaphors they could think of to reiterate certain aspects of love or whatever. You know, you look at the verses, it's pretty deep. You know, the metaphors that she uses there are pretty deep, but the hook is so simple, so basic. The metaphor is a color. Like a 5-year-old can look at red and say that means angry, you know? And I think there's just something really beautiful about it because it's like not trying to be this overly profound thing. Sometimes it is just as simple as missing him is blue like I've never known, forget dark gray, I forget the lyrics. And I like how the song embraces that simplicity. I also fucking love the drums. You know, I think when you listen to this song sonically, it's one of the best on the fucking album. And it's so underrated in my opinion, because I just feel like it's a title track for a reason. It slaps.
At the end of the day, everyone's gonna have different reasons for liking albums. Especially nowadays, I feel like so many albums are wrapped around like a singular concept, you know? Rather than an artist just releasing a collection of songs that sound somewhat cohesive, they'll have like these descriptive narratives and distinct aesthetics and like, you know, all these weird things, try to really push the boundaries of what music can be. And that's great. I love that. You know, it's a virus. I get it. I respect it. But sometimes a dude just wants to listen to music. Sometimes dude doesn't want to have an existential crisis on a treadmill. And that is another thing that this album does great. It's just enough to resonate with anyone that actively listens to it, but you don't really need to access that other 90% of your brain. You don't need piles and piles of context to understand one lyric. And for me, it's just the perfect balance of nuance and fun. You guys know that I only started listening to Taylor Swift a couple months ago, so I haven't even listened to the original, like, 2012 Red. But I'd imagine that Red 2012 was a bit of a smoother listen, you know, with 30 songs and 130 minutes of music. It's gonna drag at least a little bit, just like a little. I mean, that's longer than like most movies, right? And that's also why I'm not giving my thoughts on the songs individually, just because that would be so long. I don't think anyone really cares that much about that.
Alright, fine. We'll do a Writer's Workshop for All Too Well. Jeez, God. I walked through the door with you. The air was cold, but something about it felt like home somehow. I left my scarf there at your sister's house, and you still got it in your drawer, even now. I mean, I think one of the best things that this song does is how it paints a picture of this scenery, the scene, you know. Captured pretty well in the short film, obviously, but like, you know, even without that, you can kind of visualize it. And I know like that scarf is like supposed to be a metaphor for virginity, but I feel like I get kind of confused because like, as you know, people can only lose their virginity once, but then people say that the girlhood line in would've, coulda, should've is her virginity. It's like, give me back my girlhood, it was mine first. You couldn't have lost her virginity to two different people, so what's going on here? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that she didn't put out for John Mayer, because look at him. But Jake Gyllenhaal, on the other hand, is a good-looking guy. Also, I feel like the red scarf motif, that metaphor makes more sense for virginity than the other thing. It feels so weird talking about someone else's virginity. Let's just move on. It's a perfect scene. It's the perfect scene for her. You know, autumn leaves falling down like pieces into place. How do you come up with that, bro? How do you come up with that shit? Oh, I hate love. God. Cause there we are again, little town street. And you were tossing me the car keys. Fuck the patriarchy. What is a patriarchy? And in case you guys didn't know, I was kind of a slacker in high school. I mean, not a slacker enough that I got into a college, but a system of society or government in which the father or eldest male is head of the family and descent is traced through the male line. So what does that have to do with this? It's in quotes. Fuck the patriarchy is in quotes. Patriarchy is a sociological term coined by feminist theorists. It describes the system in our society that creates a power imbalance and inequalities in a gender basis. To fuck the patriarchy is a pro-feminist slogan. So I was pretty off. I don't know why I keep trying to like figure this shit out like I know what I'm doing. I should just click on it every single time wondering something. But what can I say? I'm a stubborn piece of shit. So we were dead and gone and buried. Check the pulse and come back swearing. It's the same after 3 months in the grave. Oh, what? How did this shit get cut out of the original one? It's so good. Check the pulse. Make sure everything's alright. Make sure we're not going to break up and then come back, swinging. You're not caring anymore. I know it's long gone and there's nothing else I could do. And I forget about you long enough to forget why I needed to. That's one of those things where it's like, you end something and you look back on it years later and it's like, I don't even remember why we were fighting. You know what I mean? It's like that shit. There we are again in the middle of the night. We're dancing around the kitchen in the refrigerator light. The imagery, man. It's like I could see Dylan O'Brien and Sadie Sink right now. This is her best song, bro. This is easily her best song. Like, what the fuck? There we are again when nobody had to know. Oh, you kept me like a secret, but I kept you like an why? Why is that so good? There has to be a word for that where it's like using like one word to mean different things. You kept me like a secret. Keeping a secret, you don't want. I kept you like an oath. I valued you, man. And you call me up again just to break me like a promise. So casually cruel in the name of being honest. That is like motherfuckers that are like, I'm just a realist, bro. I'm just brutally honest with you. Shut the fuck up. You just want to be mean. You just want to be fucking toxic. You're just trying to prey on my downfall right now. Any one of you watching right now that says that you're just a brutally honest person, you're not. You're just a dick. That's what it means. Because I remember it all. Oh, and she doesn't even say the too well. She just, I remember it all. What the fuck? What the fuck? They say all's well that ends well, but I'm in a new hell every time you double cross my mind. That's like a double whammy. It's like double crossing, but then cross your mind. I love when songs change up the chorus. I think I've said that before on this channel, but I said in reference like the production, like adding or removing things in each chorus. But changing up the lyrics always fucking hits, bro. It always hits because every time it's something new, you feel like, whoa, what's going on? And she does it like 4 times in this song. It's so good. Oh, verse 6. What the fuck? There's so many. And I was never good at telling jokes, but the punchline goes, I'll get older, but your lovers stay my age. That's disgusting. Okay? You're gross, dude. John Mayer, I'm fucking looking at you with your little stupid guitar, all right? Shut up. Oh. And did the twin flame brews paint you blue? Just between us, did the love affair maim you too? Cause in the city's barren cold, I still remember the first fall of snow and how it glistened as it fell. I remember it all too well. Now, I didn't say anything there, but bars! I've always seen this line. People talk about, the virginity stuff. And again, I feel really weird talking about someone else losing their virginity. It just feels like I'm, boundaries, people. Britney Spears, like, I feel for you, girl. But saying, in the city's barren cold, I still remember the first fall of snow and how it glistened as it fell. I'm thinking of, like, something else that is, like, white that could, like, fall. The first fall of snow. I don't want to say it, but, like, jizz and how it glistened as it fell, how much it meant to her. But yeah, I do think that all too well, it's tough because I feel like saying it's her best song is kind of a cop-out because it's the only instance, a 10-minute song is the only instance that she's ever tried to do something this ambitious. It's like saying what's the best between a bunch of Disney Channel original movies and a fucking Christopher Nolan movie. So I do think this song is her best work. It just feels weird. I don't know. It deserves like its own category. Everything about the way she attacks the lyrics in this feels so poised and so like profound. It just does such a good job of painting it as a story in your head.
This should go without saying, but heartbreak songs are like the best fucking type of song in the world, ever. In my opinion. Not because it's something super relatable, not because I hate when people are happy, not even because I'm a masochist that likes being reminded of all my past heartbreaks. Shut up, dude. Call me up again just to break me like a promise. But here's what I'll say. I feel like regardless of good writing or good production, I love music because of the emotions that it can convey, like the emotions that you feel when listening to it. And in my experience, heartbreak is like the feeling you feel the most, you know what I mean? Like out of all the feelings in the world, good or bad, heartbreak is like the most consuming, the hardest to control, like the hardest to remedy. So because of that, I feel like heartbreak songs hit the hardest because they're just tapping into those emotions. Yeah, I'm generalizing, I'm kind of all over the place right now, but my point is, Red Taylor's version is a 10 for me, alright? I know, crazy. Let's clap it up, shall we? Yeah. But simply put, it's my favorite type of music made by the best artist that makes that type of music in my personal favorite way. You know, prior to making this channel, I didn't really listen to albums from front to back. I just kind of found individual songs. So I can pretty confidently say that I've never enjoyed an album as much as I enjoyed this one. You know, like from front to back as a first listening experience, it was just unmatched. So to close, not just this video, but the entire Eras saga, I'll say that everyone is gonna have their own reasons for liking an artist or an artist's music. But the reason I like Taylor Swift is pretty simple. She's just good at making you care about shit and making you like feel shit. Whether it's through her songwriting or immersive production of some of her songs.
And a bigger point that I forgot to touch on is most pop music that comes out these days is just really shallow. Like even some of the really popular, really like good Ariana Grande songs are just kind of like the lyrics themselves, you know? But I think Taylor found the perfect balance of having like lyrics that aren't too in your face and too thinky, but enough that like there's deeper meanings there and you don't really feel like a cringe ball singing it with your friends, you know what I mean? It kind of feels like having your cake and eating it too, because up until I ever listened to her music, I always thought you couldn't have those fun songs with deeper lyrics. They don't go together, but apparently they do. So shouts out to T-Swizz.
And a lot of Swifties would probably be able to go on and on about why they think she's a great role model, a great person, a songwriting genius. But I'm just gonna stick with what I said, you know? Like, why can't it be as simple as that, right? Like, I don't worship the woman, but she seems pretty chill, and I just like a lot of her songs. I also noticed that she slouches just like I do, because we're both tall as shit. See? For a while, I've been refraining from addressing the two-ton elephant in the room that is whether or not we raised enough money from this series to get to the Eras tour, and unfortunately, we didn't. But that's okay. I honestly might have been able to shell out enough if I decided to reach into the, you know, old reliable, I'll pay you back on my swear fund. If I had grown up with her music or just spent a lot of years liking it, I could totally justify spending that money. But I just don't think it's worth it. You know, I've only been listening to her for like 6 months. I'm really sorry, guys. I know I've been hyping this up so much, and I feel like I'm letting you guys down, but go check out some other Eras tour vlogs. You know, those videos are probably better than anything I could have made. Like from the pit, or at least the center, you know? I would have been in the fucking restricted view. That shit would have been ass. And we may not have raised enough money to go to the concert, but this series is far from a failure in my eyes. I mean, so many of you guys have probably found my channel because of it. Getting to talk to you guys about these albums in the comments has just been so much fun. So I'm sorry if that's an anticlimactic finish, but I hope you guys understand. And I hope you enjoyed watching this series as much as I enjoyed making it. Okay, this is the last album video of the series, but I do have something planned for next week. It's sort of a bigger finale, especially since we aren't able to go to the concert.
And for those wondering, I'll also be including my official final album rankings and, you know, like top 25-ish songs in next week's video. So that's like the real finale send-off thing, but this is the last album that we're talking about.
So yeah, next Friday, probably be on the lookout for that. A lot of you are probably wondering if the end of this series means the end of Taylor Swift videos on this channel. And unfortunately, I have to let you guys know that it's never gonna happen. I have so many other artists that I want to talk about. Lana Del Rey, Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, Tyler the Creator, fucking Drake. You know, all artists that I don't really listen to. So we're really just getting started here. But as long as Taylor Swift is making music, I'll be making videos about her music. I mean, Speak Now TV comes out in a month. You best know I'm gonna be on that shit. I realized I forgot to get my top 5 songs, so we'll just show them on the screen now. I could honestly do a top 10. Maybe I'll throw that on there. Yeah, this album is just so good. But let me know what you think about it in the comments, and like this video. It really does go a long way. And I'll see you guys next week for the actual finale of the Eras saga.
We are never, ever, ever getting back together. We are never, ever, 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 ever getting back to you. Oh, talk to your friends, talk to my friends, talk to me, talk to me. We are never,
Fuck Jake Gyllenhaal.
ever, getting back together. Like ever.